Chosen one. Pause for a moment. This is not coincidence. Heaven has intercepted your timeline because God Himself is about to reveal what was hidden from your sight. Everything around you may still look ordinary, but something sacred is unfolding right now. The divine is leaning close, whispering truth that will determine the direction of your future. You have felt it, a restlessness that cannot be silenced, a pull that refuses to let you settle. You've looked around and wondered why others seem at peace while your spirit keeps stirring. It's because your destiny is not common. You were not born to blend in. You were designed to disrupt the darkness with light. Heaven has been silent, not because God was absent, but because He was preparing the exact moment to speak. And that moment is now. It is written in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 22. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with Him. This is what is happening to you. God is revealing what was concealed, showing you patterns that once looked like chaos, but are now aligning into divine order. What you thought were delays were really layers of revelation unfolding in divine timing. The silence you endured was the sound of heaven rearranging your story. You have been asking, "Why is this happening to me?" But heaven answers, "Because I chose you to see what others ignore." The mysteries that frustrated you were divine messages in disguise. Every closed door carried instruction. Every rejection held redirection. Every quiet night where you felt forgotten was a night when angels were reworking your path. This is not a season of confusion, it's a season of unveiling. The fog that once clouded your discernment is lifting. You will begin to see clearly who is for you, what must end, and which path leads to purpose. God is not just revealing your future, He's exposing the distractions that tried to keep you from it. Chosen one. Pay attention. Watch carefully. Heaven is moving in subtle ways that require spiritual alertness. A simple conversation, a delayed meeting, an unexpected moment. These are not random. They are coordinates in the divine map God is drawing for you. You cannot afford to overlook what heaven is emphasizing. Your destiny is being decoded in real time. Every lesson from your past was preparation for this unveiling. What once broke you will now build you. The tears that watered your pain are now the rivers through which new revelation flows. God is saying, "I am opening your eyes to see beyond the visible." Don't resist this moment. When God reveals, He also requires response. Revelation is an invitation, not entertainment. It demands obedience. There are things you must release: habits, distractions, mindsets that once served you but now sabotage your calling. You can't carry yesterday's version of yourself into tomorrow's promise. Heaven is not just talking about blessings. Heaven is talking about transformation. The light of revelation exposes what needs to die so that new life can emerge. Do not fear this exposure. It is mercy. God reveals not to shame you, but to shape you. When He shows you what's been hidden, it's because He trusts you to handle truth. Your life is shifting from question to clarity. Where you once said, "I don't understand," soon you will declare, "Now I see." The future that felt far away is now unfolding before your spirit. What seemed impossible will suddenly align when you move in obedience. You will watch what was prophesied start to materialize bit by bit, step by step. This is the first unveiling, the divine interruption where heaven declares, "Enough delay." God is moving the pieces of your destiny into visibility. You are standing at the edge of revelation. Do not scroll past this word. You are hearing heaven speak directly into your timeline. Chosen one. The Lord says, I reveal deep and hidden things. You have entered the moment where hidden instructions become visible. This message is your confirmation. The time to wait is over. The time to watch has come. If your spirit recognizes this truth, if something inside you knows this message is for you, seal it in faith. Comment 777 as a prophetic act that declares, my eyes are open. I will not miss what heaven is revealing. And if you have not yet subscribed, do it now. Stay connected, for more revelation is coming. And each word carries direction for your next step. The unveiling has begun. You are not reading this by mistake. Heaven synchronized this very second so that truth could collide with your awareness. What you do after hearing this determines what unfolds next. Watch, listen, and respond. For revelation unclaimed becomes destiny delayed. The Spirit whispers, stay awake. The next signs will not shout. They will whisper through alignment, timing, and sudden clarity. Guard your focus. Your future is approaching, wrapped in ordinary moments that carry extraordinary meaning. Chosen one. Something within you already senses the tremor in the atmosphere. It's subtle, almost silent but real. This is the whisper before the storm. The moment when heaven begins to speak in undertones that only the awake can hear. You feel it when the air shifts, when familiar places suddenly feel foreign, when peace and pressure collide in the same breath. It's not anxiety, it's spiritual alertness. God is warning you that time is shifting, that something unseen is approaching, and that you must be ready. You may not see lightning yet, but the clouds are gathering. What's coming is not designed to destroy you, it's designed to awaken you. God often whispers before he shakes. He gives quiet warnings before visible movements. And right now, the whisper is saying, prepare your heart. There are seasons when heaven shouts and everyone hears. But there are also sacred seasons when God whispers only to his chosen ones. This is one of them. While the world is distracted, you are being summoned into stillness. You are being trained to hear the low frequency of divine language, the words that are not loud but powerful, the nudges that feel like thoughts but carry eternity within them. When storms come, the unprepared panic, but the chosen perceive. You don't fear the shaking, because you understand what it means. God is rearranging everything that cannot stand on truth. The winds are not meant to destroy, but to expose. The shaking is mercy in motion. The whisper before the storm is heaven's way of saying, I am giving you time to align before I release what's next. You have been feeling pressure because destiny always tightens before release. The weight on your spirit is not punishment, it's preparation. Heaven is adjusting your posture so that when revelation comes, you won't be swept away by emotion but anchored by discernment. You are being invited into maturity, to recognize divine timing not by comfort but by conviction. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 6, verse 10. To whom can I speak and give warning? Who will listen to me? Their ears are closed so they cannot hear. This is why the whisper is dangerous. It tests your hearing. Can you still recognize the voice of God when it doesn't sound like what you expected, when he speaks through silence, through delay, through unfamiliar instruction? Many miss divine direction because they demand dramatic signs. But the chosen recognize revelation even in quiet correction. You must learn to value stillness more than noise. The loud world makes it easy to drown in distraction. But revelation doesn't compete for your attention, it waits for your focus. The whisper is sacred because it requires intimacy. God is not hiding from you, He is hiding for you. Waiting until your heart is quiet enough to receive truth without distortion. Sometimes, the whisper doesn't bring comfort. It brings clarity, and clarity can hurt before it heals. God is revealing what cannot go with you into the next season. Relationships, routines, old patterns, they're being tested by the whisper. What doesn't echo heaven's frequency will begin to fade. Don't chase what God is silencing. The whisper before the storm is also a call to purification. God is not just warning you about external change, He's preparing your inner structure. What's coming will require strength that is rooted, not reactive. You cannot carry offense, fear, or bitterness into what's ahead. The whisper asks you to release them now, quietly, before the shaking demands it. In the days to come, you will notice divine interruptions, plans suddenly shift, doors close without reason. Your peace will feel unsettled in certain places. Don't fight it. The whisper is guiding you away from danger disguised as opportunity. Sometimes, God protects you by confusing your comfort. And when the first winds of the storm arrive, do not be afraid. You will remember this moment. You will say, God warned me. You will stand firm while others scramble, because your heart was trained to listen before the noise began. Chosen one, let this truth settle in your spirit. Storms never come without prophecy. Before anything shakes around you, heaven always whispers within you. Right now, you are standing in that sacred pause, the stillness before movement, the silence before sound. What you do in this quiet will decide how you walk through what's next. Be still. Listen. The whisper carries instruction that will become survival. You are being trained to hear beyond sound, to sense divine rhythm in silence. When others grow restless, your calm becomes revelation. In quiet trust, you will discern what others miss and move in divine timing. The storm will confirm what the whisper prepared. When confusion rises, peace will identify you. You will remember that warning was mercy. And mercy became strength when you chose stillness over reaction. Every whisper you obey builds unshakable faith. Every quiet yes prepares you for thunder. You will not fear the storm, you will interpret it. What others call chaos, you will recognize as divine movement. Chosen one. Now the whisper has settled into your soul, and the atmosphere around you begins to shift. This is where the hidden scroll starts to unfold, the record of your destiny written long before you were born. Heaven is not improvising your future. It is unveiling what has always been written. Every trial, every delay, every detour has been part of the script that leads to this exact unveiling. You are not walking toward destiny. Destiny is meeting you. God has been waiting for your readiness, not your perfection. The scroll has been sealed until your obedience reached maturity. You have felt that tension, the sense that something greater was waiting just beyond the visible horizon. Now the time of revelation begins. There are scrolls in heaven that contain blueprints for lives, generations, and nations. When God opens one, alignment begins on earth. You feel it as an urgency to act, a pull toward purpose, a knowing that refuses to fade. You might not yet understand all the instructions, but your spirit knows the voice reading the scroll. You recognize it because it's the same voice that called you out of darkness and into purpose. The Word of God declares in the book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 9, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased for God persons from every tribe and language and people and nation." This verse is not just about what Christ has done, it's about what he has granted you access to. Through his sacrifice, the sealed scrolls of divine purpose can now be opened to those who belong to him. That means your life is not random, it's recorded. What was written about you in eternity is now being revealed in time. The hidden scroll is not simply a prophecy, it's an instruction manual for your next dimension. And with each line revealed, responsibility increases. Heaven never releases revelation without expecting obedience. Every truth you receive must be lived, not just heard. Every word that awakens you demands a response of action. This is why your past season was filled with silence, and waiting, it was a test of stewardship. Could you remain faithful when you didn't understand? Could you trust God when he hid the scroll from view? Those who survive the silence are always trusted with revelation. Now, the seal breaks. Inside the scroll, God begins to show you what's ahead, relationships that will accelerate you, doors that will open, warnings that will protect you. The future is not a mystery to him, it's a divine design waiting for your alignment. You will begin to notice confirmation everywhere through words, through timing, through divine coincidences that are not coincidences at all. Yet the unveiling comes with responsibility. What God reveals, he will also hold you accountable for once you know truth. Ignorance is no longer an option. This is why he waited until now to give you revelation when you had the strength to carry it. The hidden scroll is being read over your life, and every word demands transformation. Don't treat this lightly. Revelation is not a privilege, it's a calling. Many crave to see what you're about to see, but are not ready to bear it. God reveals only to the willing, to those whose hearts are surrendered more than their lips are loud. The scroll is being unrolled, and your name is inscribed within it. Chosen one. The Lord is saying, you are stepping into what was written, the people you will meet, the paths you will walk, the doors that will open. None of it will be random. Heaven has already aligned them to match the prophecy within your scroll. Take this moment and anchor it. Do not rush past it. The scroll is being revealed not to impress you, but to instruct you. It contains both direction and discipline. It may tell you to let go of what's comfortable so that you can hold what's eternal. It may ask for obedience before understanding. That is the nature of divine revelation. It always stretches faith beyond reason. When that realization hits your spirit, when you truly feel heaven unfolding your future, before you let your heart respond with reverence and boldness, comment, unveil it. Lord below. These words are not decoration, they are declaration. They mean, I'm ready to see what you've written about me, even if it changes everything. When you type them, you are agreeing with heaven's timing and giving God permission to reveal every hidden line of your story. Because when heaven opens a scroll, it looks for someone on earth to respond. Revelation without response is wasted. But revelation met with faith becomes reality. The scroll is open now. Let it read you as much as you read it. Every word you obey will unlock the next. Every act of faith will bring another page to light. You are entering the season where destiny is no longer hidden, it is unfolding before your eyes. Chosen one. When heaven begins to unveil the scroll, it does not just reveal your future, it reveals you. The light of revelation does not only expose destiny, it exposes delay. The moment you begin to see what was written for you, you must also face what has been standing in the way. This is the mirror of truth, and it does not flatter. It reflects with divine accuracy what your heart has carried, what your hands have built, and what your decisions have shaped. Standing before this mirror is both holy and humbling. You will see your victories. Yes, but also your compromises. You will recognize the moments you settled for comfort instead of conviction, the times you trusted fear more than faith, the habits that kept you bound when freedom was already yours. The mirror does not condemn, it reveals. And what it reveals, it redeems if you let it. The Word of God declares in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 23, "Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror. The mirror of truth shows you what heaven sees. It calls you beyond the surface of appearance into the depth of alignment. It is not enough to know your calling, you must also be willing to confront the things that contradict it. Every destiny has an enemy, and most of the time, that enemy hides within the comfort of old patterns. The Spirit of God brings you to this mirror not to shame you, but to sharpen you. You cannot carry self-deception into divine fulfillment. The light of heaven is too bright for half-truths to survive. This is why many run from revelation. It forces transformation. But those who stand firm in the reflection become unshakable. You may have prayed for clarity, and this is God's answer. He shows you not just where you're going, but what must change before you arrive. You will begin to feel a gentle conviction in your spirit about things you once ignored, words you speak, environments you tolerate, people you entertain, and even thoughts you entertain quietly. The mirror is showing you the cost of your next level. It is in this moment that you must choose honesty over image. God cannot bless the version of you that you pretend to be. The reflection must match the calling. The person in the mirror must resemble the person heaven has written about. And this is not achieved through striving, it is achieved through surrender. The more you gaze into this divine mirror, the more the false layers fall away. The opinions of others begin to lose power. The need to prove yourself begins to dissolve. What remains is purity, purpose without pretense, calling without comparison. The mirror reveals your true identity: chosen, anointed, appointed, refined by fire, and destined for impact. Still, the process of revelation can sting. When light touches darkness, discomfort follows. But that discomfort is divine. It is the friction between who you were and who you are becoming. Don't flee from it. Sit in it. Let it refine you. Because every time you choose truth over comfort, the reflection grows clearer. You will begin to notice the Spirit drawing your attention to specific areas of your life, not with accusation, but with invitation. He points not to destroy, but to heal. He exposes not to humiliate, but to liberate. The mirror of truth is the place where bondage begins to break. Not because you try harder, but because you finally see. What's being revealed in this season may surprise you. You might realize that some of your prayers were answered long ago, but your perspective was blocking the evidence. You might discover that certain delays were not demonic, they were divine, protecting you from premature exposure. The mirror corrects your interpretation. Chosen one, look again. See not with natural sight, but with spiritual vision. See the discipline disguised as disappointment, the correction hidden within rejection, the divine purpose behind every pruning. The mirror is not showing you your end, it's showing you your becoming. Every hero of faith faced this reflection. Moses had to face his anger, David his pride, Peter his fear. Each one had to look into the mirror of truth before walking in the fullness of their call. And so must you. This confrontation is not punishment, it's preparation. God refines those he intends to raise. You are standing in front of heaven's mirror, and for the first time, you are seeing yourself as you truly are, flawed but chosen, broken but called, still in progress yet already loved. This vision is what propels transformation. It humbles pride, awakens obedience, and ignites courage. Do not turn away. What the mirror reveals today will equip you for tomorrow. Face it with faith, and the reflection you once feared will become the confirmation you needed. Chosen one, after the mirror has revealed what you must see. Heaven pauses again, not to judge, but to invite. What comes next is the warning of mercy. It is not thunder or lightning, but a still, trembling awareness that grace has been abundant and time is becoming sacred. You can almost feel the shift, how the air around your life has changed, how opportunities now carry the weight of eternity. God is not angry, he is urgent. Mercy is still standing at your door, but she is whispering now instead of shouting. She stands with tears in her eyes, saying, I have waited for you to notice, to choose, to return. This is not punishment, it's compassion wrapped in final reminders. When heaven warns, it's not because it's too late, it's because it's almost time. It was proclaimed in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 6. Seek the Lord while he may be found, call on him while he is near. That verse sounds like a song of grace, but it carries holy weight. While he may be found, it means there are moments in history where heaven leans in closer. And missing them is not just loss, it's delay. This is one of those moments. The Lord is near, nearer than you realize. And the decisions you make in this window will echo far beyond you. You may feel a soft ache in your heart right now, that gentle pull that says, there's something I must do. Don't ignore it. That's mercy. That's heaven trying to catch your attention before the moment passes. You are not being punished, you are being pursued. The warning of mercy comes wrapped in beauty. It arrives in small moments that seem ordinary, the conversation that stirs conviction, the dream that refuses to fade, the quiet thought that says, don't go back there. God does not send chaos to those he loves, he sends clarity. And clarity is often disguised as discomfort. In this sacred tension, the Spirit is showing you both paths, the narrow road that leads to peace and the wide one that leads to distraction. Heaven is not forcing your hand. The voice of God is never coercion, it is invitation. The warning of mercy is not a chain, it is an open door. There is still time. There is still grace. But grace is not a blanket, it is a bridge. It carries you forward. But you must choose to cross. You cannot remain where mercy found you and expect to enter where destiny calls you. Movement is required. Surrender is necessary. The beauty of this moment is that heaven allows you to decide. You can linger in hesitation, or you can step into alignment. You can analyze, or you can trust. You can wait for perfect certainty, or you can act in faith. Every heart that has ever been transformed reached a point like this when God whispered, and they finally said, yes. So as you stand at this quiet crossroads, don't think of it as pressure. Think of it as a love story. God's love is not a storm that breaks you. It's a river that finds you, washes over you, and gently carries you home. The warning of mercy is His way of saying, I still believe in what I placed inside you. Let this awareness move through you like light through water. Let it soften what's hardened, heal what's tired, and awaken what's been sleeping. Mercy is not running out, it's running toward you. Every breath you take right now is proof of that. And if your heart feels stirred, if your spirit recognizes that this is a holy invitation, then allow that emotion to become a quiet yes. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to prove it. Let your agreement be felt more than heard. Maybe that yes looks like a moment of reflection, or like a silent prayer. Maybe it's as simple as letting your heart open again to what you once buried. Or maybe it's a decision to step into what you were born for. Whatever it looks like, let it be real. And if this word has touched something deep within you, then let your gratitude rise softly. When you like this message, it's not just a click, it's the ripple of a river acknowledging the source of its flow. When you share it, you are not spreading words, you are planting seeds in hearts you may never meet. When you subscribe, you are choosing to stay near the stream, where revelation continues to pour like living water. Each act is quiet, but heaven hears it. The digital gesture becomes a sacred echo, a way of saying, I am still listening. Chosen one. The warning of mercy has come, not to frighten you, but to free you. You are being invited into alignment before the winds of change begin to move. Let mercy finish her song within you. Let her voice become your direction. And as you walk forward, know this: those who heed the whisper of mercy never miss the roar of glory that follows. Chosen one. After mercy has sung her final note, the air around you begins to still again. You stand before the fork in the spirit road, where two paths stretch out, one familiar, one unfamiliar. Both look possible, both seem right, but only one carries the pulse of heaven. This is the moment where discernment becomes more important than desire. You will feel the tension inside. One road offers comfort, the other demands courage. One echoes your past, the other awakens your purpose. And heaven is watching, not to punish your choice, but to witness your faith. God never forces your direction. He simply places truth beside temptation and allows your heart to decide. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 21, verse 8. See, I am setting before you the way of life and the way of death. This is not a threat, it is divine clarity. God never hides the stakes of obedience. Every decision you make is more than preference, it is prophecy. Your path is shaped not by chance, but by choice. The future you experience will always echo the road you choose. Sometimes the right path is the one that looks least inviting. It won't always glow with assurance. It will often challenge your comfort, demand your surrender, and test your faith. But that road, the narrow, quiet, uncertain one, is where glory is built. It's where your character catches up to your calling. You may feel the pull of both sides, the old life calling with familiarity, the new one whispering with promise. And yet, deep within, you already know which one belongs to you. Heaven has written it into your bones. Your spirit recognizes the direction of destiny even when your mind hesitates. The fork is not punishment, it is preparation. God places you here so that your next yes will be pure. He wants your obedience to come from conviction, not convenience. That is why he allows the tension to linger. You cannot mature without choice. Every great shift in Scripture began with a fork in the road. Abraham had to leave everything familiar to walk into the unknown. Ruth had to choose covenant over comfort. Peter had to step out of the boat into a sea that looked impossible. Each of them stood where you are now, caught between the known and the necessary. You will notice that one path is louder. It promises quicker results, easier victories, and instant validation. The other path is quiet. It offers no applause, no guarantees, just peace. And that peace is the proof. The presence of peace is heaven's confirmation that you're moving in divine rhythm. If you feel anxious, wait. If you feel clarity, move. The Spirit will never rush you into confusion, but he will nudge you toward alignment. The voice of God always leads you toward stillness. Never panic. Listen carefully. The road of life speaks softly, and only those who quiet their fears can hear it. As you stand here, don't think about what you might lose. Think about who you might become. Every destiny demands departure. Every new chapter requires closing the old one completely. The fork in the road is not about geography, it's about identity. Heaven isn't changing your location, it's changing your nature. When you finally take the first step, something shifts in the unseen. Angels begin to move. Timing rearranges. Favor locates you again. The moment you choose the narrow path, the weight of hesitation falls away. You will feel lighter, freer, clearer. That is how you know heaven has marked your decision. The choice will cost you, but it will never bankrupt you. Everything surrendered at this fork returns, multiplied later. God never takes to diminish, he takes to refine. And what you lose in comfort, you gain in clarity. Chosen one. This crossroads is sacred. The longer you linger, the more costly delay becomes. Don't rush, but don't resist. Heaven's timing is delicate, a melody that moves when you move. If your spirit is resonating with this word, if you feel the pull of divine direction, pause for one symbolic act of agreement. Comment 444 below. It is more than a number, it is your silent yes to divine order. 4 is the number of foundation, and writing it 3 times declares, my steps are established. My path is aligned with heaven's design. Let that number be your declaration, not shouted, but breathed. Heaven reads your agreement like ink on your timeline. From this fork forward, your road will not be random, it will be revealed. You are walking into alignment, step by step, decision by decision. And soon, the path that once looked narrow will widen into the fullness of your promise. When you comment 444, you are not typing digits, you are opening a gate. It is your signature in eternity, saying, I choose heaven's path, not my own. Each number becomes a step, each step a covenant. As you write it, angels mark the moment heaven witnesses your alignment, and the road ahead begins to shine. Chosen one. Once the decision is made at the fork, something begins to shift quietly within you. It's not dramatic. It's not even visible to those around you. But in the spiritual realm, It's like watching puzzle pieces slide perfectly into place. This is the prophetic replay, the moment when you begin to understand what all the detours and delays were really about. It happens slowly at first. A memory flashes in your mind. Something you once dismissed as random, but now it shines with new meaning. You realize that certain rejections were divine redirections, that closed doors were not losses, but shields. Every disappointment begins to look different when viewed through the lens of destiny. The same story, but a new revelation. Prophetic replay is God's way of showing you the evidence that He was there all along. It is heaven replaying the footage of your past to reveal divine fingerprints you couldn't see before. Every pain that confused you now connects to purpose. Every lonely season now reveals its lesson. You start to recognize that what once broke you was actually building you. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." That verse isn't abstract, it's a timeline of your life. The words "all things" include the nights you cried alone, the prayers you thought bounced off the ceiling, the failures you tried to forget. Every fragment of your story has been working together, forming a hidden symphony of redemption. Prophetic replay allows you to hear the music for the first time. When you look back now, it's no longer pain that defines the memory, it's purpose. The same places that once carried sorrow now carry gratitude. You begin to thank God for not giving you what you thought you wanted, because you see how it would have limited what He had planned. The disappointment that once felt cruel now looks merciful. In this sacred replay, the Spirit becomes your narrator. He takes you by the hand and walks you back through the scenes of your life, not to reopen wounds, but to heal the story beneath them. You start to perceive how heaven intervened at moments you didn't even recognize were dangerous. You survived things you didn't know were meant to destroy you. Prophetic replay is not nostalgia, it's revelation. It transforms regret into wisdom. It converts confusion into clarity. It is heaven teaching you how to interpret your own timeline through divine eyes. You begin to see that what you called waiting was actually weaving. God was stitching separate threads together into a pattern of glory. As you reflect, small memories begin to glow with supernatural detail. The job that fell apart right before a better door opened, the friend who left and made space for peace, the loss that taught you to find strength in solitude. Each of these is a verse in your testimony, rewritten with light instead of bitterness. The prophetic replay doesn't just explain your past, it equips your future. Once you see that nothing was wasted, you start walking with deeper confidence. Fear loses power, because you understand that even failure can be holy when it leads you closer to truth. You stop panicking about the unknown, because you've seen what God can do with the unseen. This awareness changes your pace. You move slower, not because of doubt, but because of reverence. You start noticing divine timing in everyday events, the delayed flight that prevented disaster, the random encounter that carried an answer. You no longer label things coincidence. You simply whisper, "I see you now." Prophetic replay is heaven's kindness. God doesn't just forgive your history, He rewrites it with meaning. He doesn't erase your scars, He anoints them until they shine with wisdom. Every experience, every tear, every lesson becomes part of your training for what's next. The Spirit is showing you that nothing about your life has been accidental. Every wilderness taught you discernment. Every silence taught you patience. Every loss trained your heart to recognize what truly matters. Even the prayers that didn't get answered the way you wanted are now starting to make sense. Chosen one. Your story is being replayed, not as punishment but as prophecy. Heaven is saying, "See how I never left you. See how I turned chaos into alignment." This is divine closure, the peace that comes when you finally realize your past was never wasted. So don't run from your memories. Sit with them. Let God interpret them. As you do, you will feel a holy calm settle into your spirit, the kind that only comes from understanding that every path, every pain, every pause was part of a greater design. The prophetic replay is proof that your story was never broken, it was only being edited by grace. And now, as the past aligns with the promise, the future begins to unfold without resistance. You are no longer defined by what happened to you, you are defined by what God revealed through it. Chosen one. The prophetic replay fades, but something new begins to stir clarity. Like dawn light after a long storm, this is the awakening of sight. It is when you stop merely looking and begin truly seeing. Heaven doesn't just open your eyes, it rewires how you perceive everything. You start recognizing divine movement not by what you see outwardly, but by what you sense inwardly. You have walked through life with fragments of vision, moments of clarity surrounded by fog. But in this season, the fog begins to lift. The veil between the natural and the spiritual grows thin. And suddenly the world looks different. Conversations carry hidden meaning. Delays feel deliberate. People appear not as coincidences, but as divine assignments. This is what it means to see through heaven's lens, to perceive purpose behind every occurrence. The voice of God thundered in the book of 2 Kings. Chapter 6, verse 17. Then Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. That verse is not just history, it is happening in your spirit right now. God is opening your eyes to see the chariots of fire surrounding your life. The protection you never noticed. The angels that stood guard while you slept. You are not unguarded, and you are not forgotten. You are surrounded by divine strategy. This awakening of sight changes how you move. Where you once reacted in fear, you now respond with faith. Where you once felt alone, you sense presence. You stop panicking about what is visible and begin trusting what is invisible. That is spiritual maturity, seeing beyond evidence into essence, beyond appearance into assignment. You begin to discern the spiritual atmosphere in rooms, the motives behind words, the energy of moments, not to judge, but to navigate wisely. God does not give you sight for spectacle, He gives it for stewardship. When you can see what others cannot, you are responsible to walk in wisdom, not pride. The awakening of sight also changes how you view yourself. You start to recognize the divine fingerprints on your own design. You are not a mistake or a collection of coincidences. You are a divine strategy wearing human skin. Every gift you carry, every flaw redeemed, every desire refined it, all reflects purpose. Yet this new vision can be overwhelming. Seeing too much, too soon, can feel heavy. That's why God increases perception gradually, layer by layer, like sunrise filtering through clouds. Each revelation builds capacity for the next. He teaches you to balance vision with humility, clarity with compassion. As your eyes open, you will notice certain things: losing color, old habits, draining environments, shallow pursuits. What once fascinated you now feels empty. That is not boredom, it's elevation. Heaven is shifting your appetite toward what matters. Spiritual sight always changes spiritual diet. You begin hungering for purity, truth, and stillness, because your eyes can now see what pollution does to purpose. This awakening also brings discernment for relationships. You start recognizing divine connections and counterfeit distractions. Some people were sent to anchor you, others were sent to test you. With spiritual sight, you no longer confuse access with assignment. You learn that not everyone who applauds you is for you, and not everyone who opposes you is against you. Some resistance is holy, meant to sharpen your discernment. The awakening of sight requires stewardship of focus. What you gaze upon grows in power. If you focus on fear, fear expands. If you fix your eyes on truth, faith deepens. Heaven is training you to guard your gaze, to look intentionally at what nourishes your spirit. Your eyes become gates of glory when you choose what enters them. Chosen one, this is a sacred awakening. You will never again see the world as before. Every color, every silence, every encounter will speak. You will read signs not with superstition, but with sensitivity. You will know when to move, when to wait, and when to speak, not by guessing, but by seeing. This vision is not given to the curious, it's entrusted to the faithful. God reveals only what your heart can handle. That's why humility must walk beside revelation. The clearer your vision, the deeper your reverence must grow. You are being transformed into one who walks by sight of the Spirit, not sight of the senses. You will perceive what is hidden, discern what is false, and recognize what is divine before it manifests. Heaven calls this maturity, when your eyes become instruments of obedience, not pride. Let this awakening settle gently into your spirit. The world around you has not changed, but your way of seeing it has. That shift is everything. What once looked chaotic now looks orchestrated. What once seemed late now appears precisely timed. You are entering the era of clear vision. You no longer stumble in uncertainty, you walk in revelation. And in that light, destiny unfolds without disguise. Chosen one, once your sight awakens, life stops feeling random. Every fire, every trial, every pressure begins to speak in a new language, the voice in the fire. God does not always speak in comfort. Sometimes he speaks through the very thing that tests you. The flame that once frightened you is now the medium of his revelation. You may not realize it yet, but the fire has been your teacher. Every season that burned you was also refining you. Heaven uses heat to separate imitation from authenticity, comfort from calling. The fire is not the enemy, it is the messenger. It is written in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 2. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. That moment defined destiny. God chose to speak through fire because fire cannot be ignored. It consumes attention. It commands stillness. It demands reverence. Likewise, the moments that nearly consumed you were never meant to destroy you. They were designed to reveal that what is truly anointed cannot burn. You are standing in a similar moment now. Your fire might not be visible, but it's real, the silent struggle, the unanswered prayer, the breaking that nobody sees. Yet, just as with Moses, what surrounds you in flame will not consume you, it will awaken you. You will hear God's voice clearer in crisis than you ever did in comfort. The voice in the fire does not flatter, it calls. It speaks identity into chaos, purpose into pain, assignment into ashes. You hear it not with ears but with understanding. It says, "This is holy ground, remove what hides your authenticity." Every fire is sacred when heaven is inside it. Chosen one. The fire is doing something divine. It's melting the masks you used to survive. It's stripping you of roles, reputations, and resistance. What remains will be real. The voice in the fire wants truth, not performance. That's why God allows certain flames to linger, because the real you emerges only in heat. You may feel as if you are losing parts of yourself, but those are the parts that were never meant to last. Fire never destroys what's eternal. It only consumes what cannot carry destiny. Every spark of pain burns away fear. Every moment of pressure presses you closer to purity. And as the fire speaks, you begin to notice something unusual, peace inside pain. It doesn't make sense to the natural mind, but the spirit understands. You are not surviving the fire, you are being shaped by it. The same flames that once scared you are now sanctifying you. You are learning to trust the process even when it's uncomfortable. The voice in the fire will often repeat one question: "Do you trust me here?" If you can say yes in the middle of the burning, heaven will release power after the ashes. The test of faith is not when you see light, it's when you still worship while surrounded by flames. As you continue to walk through this season, remember, not all fire is destruction. Some flames are divine communication. They refine vision, redefine value, and renew vows between heaven and earth. The hotter the fire, the clearer the voice becomes. Do not rush out of it. Stay long enough to hear the instruction hidden within. When you emerge, you will not look the same, because fire changes reflection. It makes you shine. It leaves you marked with the evidence of endurance and the scent of purpose. The Spirit is saying, the very heat that terrified you will testify for you. Your story will carry the sound of redemption. Your scars will preach louder than sermons. People will look at your survival and know there was a voice speaking from within the flame. This is not punishment, it's purification. And when the fire finishes its work, you will carry an authority that cannot be faked, an anointing that cannot be copied, a peace that cannot be stolen. Chosen one. If you feel this truth burning in your spirit, if you sense that God is speaking through what tried to break you, then comment, "Fire reveals truth below." These words are your agreement with heaven, your way of saying, I will no longer fear the heat. I will listen for the voice within it. For it is in the very flame you feared that God is refining your future. The fire does not end your story, it ignites it. When you comment, "Fire reveals truth," you are not just repeating words, you are making a vow. It means, I choose revelation over resentment. I will let every flame refine me until what remains is faith, not fear. Each letter becomes an offering. As you write, fire reveals truth. Heaven records it as surrender proof that you trust the process even when it burns. In that declaration, ashes turn into evidence, and endurance becomes your worship. chosen one. After you've heard the voice in the fire, you notice that the world around you starts to tremble, not in chaos, but in rearrangement. What you are witnessing is the shaking and the crown. Everything that is unstable begins to fall away, and what is built on truth starts to rise. Heaven is separating what was temporary from what is eternal, preparing you to wear the crown that was promised from the beginning. This shaking is not punishment, it is purification. You can feel it, the quiet earthquakes within your heart, the shifting of relationships, the closing of doors that once felt permanent. God shakes foundations not to destroy them, but to reveal which ones were never meant to stand. The false confidence you once leaned on begins to crumble so that real strength can take root. The Spirit reminds us in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 27. The words "once more" indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. This is that once more. Heaven is shaking everything that doesn't carry eternal weight. Every structure built on fear, pride, or self-dependence is being stripped away. What will remain is what was forged in faith. The shaking exposes your true anchors, what you cling to when everything else begins to sway. You will see this happen around you too, people revealing their motives, systems losing power, voices fading that once controlled your direction. Don't fear it. Let it happen. God is clearing the stage for glory. You cannot wear the crown if your head is still bowed to counterfeit kings. In the midst of this divine disturbance, the crown is forming, not made of gold, but of endurance, humility, and authority. The crown is not handed to those who never trembled. It is placed upon those who kept standing while everything shook. It is the mark of those who didn't give up when the ground cracked beneath them. This crown is invisible now, but heaven sees it. It shines every time you choose faith over fear, silence over reaction, trust over control. You are being crowned in the unseen long before it manifests in the seen. And yet, this process can be lonely. The shaking isolates the chosen, not because they are unloved, but because elevation requires separation. There are heights only solitude can reach. When you feel misunderstood or set apart, remember, it's not rejection, it's refinement. You are being positioned where your roots can go deep enough to hold the weight of future glory. The crown is heavy, but it fits only those whose hearts have been humbled by the shaking. Every tremor has been adjusting your posture so you can carry it with grace. Pride cannot hold it. Fear cannot balance it. Only surrender can. Chosen one. This is why the shaking is holy. It's heaven sculpting your spirit into stability. You are learning to stand, not because you are fearless, but because you are founded. When all that can be shaken falls away, you discover that God Himself is your ground. As you breathe through this transformation, allow gratitude to rise. Think of how many storms have passed, how many times the earth beneath you shifted, yet you're still here. You're not broken, you're rebuilt. You are the living proof that endurance is stronger than collapse. And now, as this new stability settles in, pause and honor the process. If these words resonate within you, if you can feel this quiet strength awakening, then let your gratitude become gentle motion. When you like this message, imagine it as lifting your face toward heaven, saying, "Yes, I recognize your hand in my shaking." When you share it, Think of it as offering your flame to someone still trembling in the dark. You are extending warmth, not content. When you subscribe, picture it as sitting closer to the fire, staying near the light that keeps your faith alive. Every small gesture is symbolic, like a stone placed on the altar of remembrance. Heaven reads meaning in your movement. None of it is about routine, it's about reverence. The very act of staying, of listening, of responding becomes your worship. You are living in the sacred rhythm of deconstruction and rebuilding, of shaking and crowning. What once felt like loss was preparation. What you thought was the end was foundation. Every tremor has been working for your coronation. So, stand still in this holy quake. Let what needs to fall, fall. What remains will be your throne of peace, and upon it, your invisible crown will gleam with divine resilience. You will feel it soon, a quiet weight resting upon you, not of burden, but of authority. The shaking has shaped you. Now the crown recognizes your endurance. Every tremor becomes testimony. Every scar, a jewel within the crown. Stand tall, steady, and radiant. Your stability glorifies the one who held you through the shaking, chosen one. When the shaking subsides and the unseen crown settles over your spirit, the atmosphere changes. It is as if heaven itself exhales. What follows is not applause, but exposure, the divine exposure. This is when God turns the light on, and everything that has been hidden begins to surface. Both shadow and shine, both deception and destiny, both the schemes of your enemies and the strength you didn't know you carried. Exposure is not a threat, it's a blessing in disguise. God doesn't reveal to embarrass, He reveals to align. You have been asking for clarity, for justice, for truth, and heaven is answering in a way that will leave no room for pretending. Light has entered the room, and everything false begins to tremble. The ancient words recorded in the book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 17, declare, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open." That verse is both a promise and a prophecy. It means that what was buried is about to breathe. The lies spoken against you, the secret plots that tried to hinder you, the motives masked in smiles, all of it will come to the surface. And equally, the treasures buried within you, your gifts, your discernment, your strength will finally be seen. When divine exposure begins, it can feel unsettling. You may sense relationships shifting, environments becoming uncomfortable, and truth cutting through silence like a blade. Don't resist it. This is heaven cleaning the air, clearing the field so that only what is pure can remain. God removes the counterfeit to make room for the authentic. This exposure is not limited to others, it also reaches within. The same light that reveals deceit around you will illuminate distractions inside you. You will see where you have compromised, where fear disguised itself as wisdom, where you held on to comfort instead of calling. Divine light does not leave any corner dark, and though it stings at first, it heals soon after. You will start to see patterns, people revealing their true intentions through small actions, words slipping that unveil deeper truths. You will begin to realize how protected you have been, how many traps you walked past without noticing. The light is not exposing to shame, it is confirming to strengthen. Every revelation becomes protection. Every truth that surfaces is heaven guarding your next step. Chosen one. The era of pretending is ending. You no longer have the luxury of deception, not from others and not from yourself. God is raising you into authority, and authority cannot coexist with illusion. The divine exposure is heaven's final preparation before promotion. Only the transparent can carry power without corruption. It will surprise you how exposure works. It is rarely loud. It comes softly, subtly, like sunrise creeping across a dark field. One moment you sense uncertainty, and the next, everything is clear. The faces you once trusted may reveal weariness or deceit, while those you overlooked will suddenly shine with sincerity. God is rearranging your alliances in light. Even your enemies will assist this revelation without meaning to. Their attempts to harm will inadvertently highlight your purity. Their words will backfire, serving as free advertisement for truth. This is the strange beauty of divine exposure. It turns opposition into confirmation. And as this light grows stronger, so will your discernment. You'll begin to perceive truth instantly, without needing evidence. You'll know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to step forward and when to walk away. That's the mark of spiritual maturity, not reacting to exposure, but responding with wisdom. Do not mourn what the light removes. Whatever fades in this phase was never meant for your future. When truth appears, illusion dissolves naturally. Let it. Release what cannot stand in clarity. The freedom you gain will outweigh the pain of letting go. The divine exposure is not only about people, it's also about power. God is exposing spiritual plots that worked behind the scenes against your peace, uncovering roots of oppression and dismantling hidden barriers that delayed you. The same light revealing your surroundings is also cutting invisible cords. You will soon stand in a clarity you have never known, a space where motives are clear, energy is pure, and peace feels like armor. In that clarity, you'll understand why confusion had to precede revelation. Light is most effective after darkness has shown its limits. Chosen one. This exposure marks the beginning of establishment. You are being trusted with sight, not to criticize, but to govern. The truth you see must become the truth you live. Walk humbly in it. Speak carefully within it. Carry the light without arrogance, for once the divine exposure completes its work, you will stand unafraid. Nothing around you will be able to manipulate you again, because you have seen too much to be deceived. The unveiled world cannot fool the awakened heart. You are stepping into a season of revelation where truth will be both your sword and your safety. Let the light finish its work. It is making you untouchable in purpose and unstoppable in faith. Chosen one. After the divine exposure, what follows is not confusion but order. The scattered pieces begin to form a pattern again. The noise quiets. The chaos that once surrounded you suddenly makes sense. This is the season of the angel of alignment, the moment when heaven sends guidance to connect timing, purpose, and direction into one seamless design. You will notice it through peace. Doors that once resisted you now open with ease. Delays that frustrated you suddenly end without explanation. What used to feel like resistance now feels like redirection. Heaven is not improvising. Heaven is organizing. According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 23, the steps of a righteous person are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. That verse is not a metaphor, it is movement. It means that every step you take under divine instruction is synchronized with heaven's rhythm. The angel of alignment ensures that your timing and purpose no longer clash. You begin to live in divine sequence, where everything works in concert for the unfolding of your destiny. You might feel it as sudden clarity, an understanding that where you are is exactly where you were meant to be. The job, the silence, the city, the waiting, it all becomes sacred once you see alignment in it. You stop fighting time and start flowing with it. The angel of alignment doesn't always appear with wings or light. Sometimes it comes as a thought that settles your heart, a phone call that redirects your day, a person who arrives just when you prayed for guidance. Heaven uses ordinary moments to weave extraordinary patterns. This divine alignment is gentle but absolute. It places everything and everyone in the position they were destined to occupy. You will see people leaving and arriving with perfect timing, opportunities shifting in your favor, and even old wounds closing as part of this alignment. What felt delayed is now right on time. Chosen one, you have entered the rhythm of heaven, and in this rhythm, nothing forced can last, and nothing true can fail. Every divine promise carries its own timing. Alignment ensures you no longer chase what was never yours or lose what was meant for you. But understand, alignment is not only external, it is also internal. God is aligning your emotions with your faith, your mind with your purpose, your habits with your calling. You are becoming whole from the inside out. Where once you moved in fragments, one part of you believing, another part doubting, now all of you moves as one. This is spiritual harmony. In this space, discernment becomes sharper. You begin to sense when something matches your frequency and when it doesn't. The angel of alignment doesn't push, it pulls. It draws you toward what belongs to you through peace, not pressure. You will also begin to notice restoration. Relationships that fractured without closure will find peace, not necessarily through reunion, but through resolution. The past will stop pulling on your present. Old memories that once hurt will begin to teach. What was chaotic will become cohesive. Chosen one, you are not lost. You are being located. Heaven has mapped your journey in divine coordinates, and every decision you make in surrender will place you exactly where you need to be. You may not understand the full picture yet, but soon you will see that every path, even the painful one, was positioning you for purpose. This alignment is also acceleration. What took years before will now unfold in months. Favor will move faster because friction is gone. You are no longer resisting destiny, you are flowing with it. So when you sense that stillness, that peace that passes understanding, don't ignore it. That is your confirmation. You are where heaven wants you. And if your spirit bears witness to this word, if you feel that quiet click inside your soul, that inner recognition that says, "This is my season of alignment," then pause for a prophetic act of agreement. Comment 333 below. This number symbolizes divine order, the unity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit working in harmony. It means your steps, your thoughts, and your spirit are now synchronized with heaven's design. Let 333 be your declaration that you are moving not by chance, but by divine choreography. As you write it, imagine heaven nodding in response, whispering, "Finally, everything aligns." You are no longer wandering, you are walking in rhythm with eternity. When you comment 333, you're not entering digits, you're marking agreement with heaven's timing. It means, I release control. I trust divine order. I let the Spirit align what my effort never could. That is surrender transformed into symmetry. Each three reflects balance: body, soul, and spirit, past, present, and future. As you write it, heaven writes back, adjusting your path with precision. Alignment becomes visible. Peace becomes permanent. And your journey begins to move to heaven's rhythm. Chosen one. When alignment begins to flow through your life, heaven does something remarkable. It extends one final invitation before the next season unfolds. This is the final invitation. The moment when God's voice becomes both tender and weighty. Like the last call before the door closes on an old chapter, it is not a threat, but a deep stirring, a knowing that the window of preparation is almost complete. You will feel it not as panic, but as purpose pressing upon your chest. A quiet urgency begins to rise inside you. You sense that this is not the time to delay obedience, not the moment to hesitate between choices. The final invitation doesn't come with alarms. It comes as a whisper that says, move now. Trust me. Step forward. It was proclaimed in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. This is the voice of a father calling his child home, not to a place, but to alignment, to fullness, to destiny. The final invitation is not just about salvation, it's about surrender. God is asking, will you finally let me have everything, not half your faith? Not partial obedience, but your whole heart. In this moment, heaven holds its breath. Angels watch. The earth seems to pause. Because this is where stories shift forever, the moment when almost becomes fully. When you stop walking in circles and start walking in covenant. The final invitation comes wrapped in familiarity. It might echo through a dream, a scripture, a conversation, or even through this very message. It is the sound of heaven saying, don't just hear me, answer me. Because when God speaks, silence is not neutral. Silence is a response. You have been prepared for this. Every trial, every revelation, every season of pruning has been leading you here to the threshold between preparation and manifestation. God is saying, now that you know who you are, will you live like it? The invitation is not to religion but to reality. To live as the chosen. Not just to believe it. Chosen one. Understand, this obedience at this level will feel like risk. But it's really rescue. The thing God is asking you to release may feel vital, but it's only heavy. The step He's calling you to take may feel uncertain, but it's already secured. You are being invited to exchange control for clarity. The final invitation is also a test of trust. Will you move even if you can't see the whole path? The truth is, destiny never reveals every detail. It reveals direction. The rest unfolds as you walk. And heaven will not show you what's next until you act on what's now. You may feel the resistance of fear whispering, what if it doesn't work? But faith replies, what if it does? Fear imagines failure. Faith imagines fulfillment. And the final invitation requires imagination, seeing beyond logic into the landscape of promise. This moment is sacred because it won't repeat in the same way again. When God opens a door, it's not meant to stay open forever. It's meant to be walked through. Opportunities age. Grace moves. But those who respond quickly discover that obedience is always followed by acceleration. Perhaps you've been waiting for another sign, another confirmation, another push, but here it is, the peace that keeps coming back after every hesitation. That peace is your green light. You already know the answer. The final invitation is not to figure it out, it's to follow through. Heaven is not asking for perfection, only participation. The door does not require strength to open, just a willing hand to turn the handle. All you must do is agree, because one act of obedience carries more power than 1,000 prayers prayed in delay. If you have been sensing that pull, that gentle yet undeniable urge to move, to forgive, to begin, to surrender, this is your confirmation. Heaven will not pressure you, but it will not stop calling either. The invitation remains until your yes meets God's timing. And when it does, when your yes finally breaks through your fear, something shifts forever. You will feel heaven's rhythm align with your heartbeat. You will know that your choice mattered, because every great story in Scripture began the same way, with one yes that changed everything. So stand still for a moment. Listen again, and know that this final invitation is not the end, it's the opening. It's heaven saying, I am ready when you are. And when you answer, all of creation will respond to your obedience. When you whisper your yes, heaven moves in silence, no thunder, no flash, just alignment. Destiny unfolds like dawn, quietly erasing the shadows of hesitation. Every yes echoes in eternity. The moment you surrender, timelines shift, doors recognize your name, and the future begins to honor your obedience. Chosen one. After the final invitation has been answered, something sacred begins to unfold. You step into a realm where obedience separates the wanderers from the warriors. This is the separation of the chosen, a quiet, spiritual division that does not come with conflict, but with clarity. It is not about superiority, it is about surrender. God is distinguishing those who only heard His words from those who carried them into action. This separation is not a punishment, it's preparation for purpose. Every generation has a remnant, a smaller, refined group that carries the weight of heaven's next move. These are the ones who walk differently, think differently, and live with a reverence that the world cannot understand. You are among them. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Malachi, chapter 3, verse 18. And you will again see the distinction between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. This is that distinction. You can already feel it, the invisible line being drawn through situations, through circles, through hearts. What was once mixed is now being divided. Heaven is filtering motives, separating appearance from authenticity. You are no longer hidden among the crowd, you are being set apart. And with that comes both peace and pressure. The separation of the chosen is not about titles or visibility. It is about posture. God is looking for those whose hearts bow before they rise, whose loyalty cannot be bought, whose obedience does not depend on reward. You are being called out not for fame, but for function. Heaven can only entrust great authority to those who have learned to serve in humility. You may notice it happening subtly. People who once walked with you begin to fade from your journey. Conversations lose meaning. Old rhythms no longer fit your new tempo. It may feel like loss, but it's divine curation. God is editing your circle to match your calling. Those who cannot walk in your next level of light will quietly step aside. This process can feel lonely. Separation always does. But remember, even Jesus withdrew before his greatest assignments. He stepped away from crowds not because he was rejecting them, but because he was refocusing on purpose. You are doing the same. Heaven's silence around you is not abandonment, it's concentration. In this stage, your discernment heightens. You begin to sense spiritual weight when you enter a room. You feel the difference between genuine connection and draining conversation. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. The chosen cannot afford to be entangled in what no longer carries purpose. You will find that some people were seasonal, meant to escort you to a certain door, not to walk through it with you. Honor them, but release them. The separation is holy. It ensures that you travel light enough to ascend. This separation also occurs within. The Spirit divides within you what is divine from what is habitual. Old mindsets, insecurities, and attachments rise to the surface, not to shame you, but to be surrendered. You are not being punished, you are being purified. God is simplifying your spirit so that only truth remains. Chosen one. This is the refining that precedes reigning. The greater your call, the smaller your circle becomes. Do not resist it. Diamonds are never polished in crowds, they are shaped in pressure and silence. Soon, you will begin to understand why isolation was necessary. The conversations that no longer fit you were draining your destiny. The distractions that fell away were mercy in disguise. The more you release, the lighter you become, and lightness is required for elevation. Separation is heaven's signature move before revelation. It creates room for new oil, new wisdom, new encounters, and as you stand on this narrow path, surrounded by fewer voices but deeper peace, you will realize something profound. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to stand out. The chosen are marked not by perfection, but by pursuit. Their difference is not in appearance, but in alignment. They are the ones who respond when others retreat, who listen when others laugh, who move when others hesitate. You are among them, and the separation is proof, not punishment. This distinction will not make you proud, it will make you humble. For the more heaven trusts you, the more heaven expects from you. To be chosen is to be consecrated, and consecration always costs comfort. So let the separation finish its work. Do not chase what is leaving, do not cling to what cannot stay. Every departure makes space for destiny. Every goodbye clears the air for glory. The narrowing of your path is not restriction, it is precision. When this process completes, you will find yourself surrounded only by those aligned with your purpose and anchored in love. You will move lighter, think clearer, and live freer. The separation of the chosen does not end in isolation, it ends in empowerment. For those who remain after the refining are not just companions, they are covenant carriers. Together, you will walk in clarity, authority, and peace. The distinction has been made, and heaven smiles upon it. Chosen one. After separation comes fire again, but this time, not the fire that tests you. This is the fireproof faith, the kind that does not burn, but burns brighter. You have walked through shaking and silence, through exposure and refinement, And what remains within you now is faith that can no longer be shaken by circumstance. You have been tempered, not weakened, purified, not punished. In the beginning, your faith was like wax, soft, shaped by emotion, easily melted by pressure. But through trial and revelation, it has turned to gold. Fire cannot harm gold, it only clarifies it. That is what has happened to you. You stand not as one who escaped the flame, but as one who learned to shine within it. The ancient words recorded in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 7, speak of this moment. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than gold. The Spirit of God has been refining you for this very stage. He allowed the heat to rise, not to destroy, but to define. Each season that tried to consume you has now become part of your strength. You are no longer praying from desperation, but from revelation. You no longer believe because you want to, you believe because you've seen too much not to. This is the quiet confidence of those who have met God in the fire. You no longer need constant proof. Your peace is proof enough. You have moved from needing miracles to becoming one. Everything that once frightened you now fuels you. You understand that nothing can truly touch what heaven has sanctified. Fireproof faith does not boast, it breathes peace. It doesn't shout about power, it walks in it. It knows that endurance is louder than applause, and that consistency is the purest form of worship. You will notice something new in this stage. The small things that used to provoke fear no longer have power. Delays no longer frustrate you. Silence no longer shakes you. You are no longer waiting for the fire to end. You are learning to live in its light. This is where heaven begins to trust you with weight, responsibility, influence, wisdom. God only gives authority to those who have survived authenticity's flames. You can be trusted because you've been tested. You can carry revelation because you no longer crave recognition. Chosen one. This faith will make you immovable. Even when storms come, your spirit will remain anchored. People may wonder how you endure so quietly. But heaven knows it is because your roots reach deeper than sight. The same fire that once threatened your foundation has now strengthened it. This stage is not about proving your faith, it's about living it. And as you live it, your presence becomes light to others. Your calm becomes contagious. People who enter your atmosphere will begin to feel peace, not because you preach louder, but because you carry what they've been searching for. You are no longer merely learning about God, you are reflecting Him. Your patience mirrors His mercy. Your endurance echoes His love. Your ability to keep standing becomes a silent testimony that heaven is real. Now, as this realization settles into your soul, take a breath. Look back and see how far you've come from chaos to clarity, from trembling to trust. The fire that once terrified you has now crowned you with confidence. You have become the evidence that faith can survive anything. And if these words find you at just the right moment, if they stir something deep in your heart, then let your gratitude find gentle expression. When you like this message, let it be like lighting a candle in the dark, saying, I see the flame, and I choose to keep it burning. When you share it, imagine you are carrying a torch into someone else's night, letting them know that endurance is still possible. When you subscribe, don't think of it as following, think of it as returning to the fire that refines, to the light that reminds you who you are. And if this word has touched something deeper still, let it speak back through you. When you comment, imagine each word falling like sparks into the dark, small flames joining to form one great light. Your response is not reaction, it's reflection. Your heart echoing heaven's warmth into the world. Every small gesture you make becomes symbolic. The act of engaging is not a routine, it's a reflection of reverence. It says, "This flame found me, I will help it find another." Heaven interprets every motion of gratitude as a movement of grace. Chosen one, your fireproof faith is the legacy you carry forward. You are no longer waiting for proof, you are becoming it. You will walk through storms without shrinking, stand in trials without trembling, and speak light into darkness without fear. The same flames that once tested you will now testify for you. So let your heart rest. You have nothing left to prove, only light left to give. Your endurance is your ministry, and your faith is your fire. Chosen one, now that the flames have refined you, the light that once flickered becomes steady. What was prophecy whispered in darkness is beginning to unfold before your eyes. This is the revelation fulfilled, the season where words once spoken over your life begin to take form, where unseen promises manifest in visible reality. It is not imagination, it is inheritance. Heaven is keeping its word. For a long time, you walked by faith alone, holding on to words that no one else believed in, nurturing visions that only heaven could confirm. You wondered if you were mistaken, if maybe you heard wrong, yet here you stand, watching the invisible become tangible, realizing that every waiting season was a rehearsal for this very moment. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verse 45, "Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her." That blessing is now upon you. The faith you carried quietly has drawn heaven's manifestation into your atmosphere. What was delayed is now delivered, not because you demanded it, but because you were developed for it. The promise was never denied, it was simply waiting for your readiness. You will begin to notice how easily things align now, how swiftly doors open, how naturally favor finds you. It isn't coincidence, it's culmination. The prayers that once felt unanswered were simply building momentum behind the scenes. The revelation fulfilled is the moment when everything hidden suddenly moves into harmony, and what once felt like waiting now feels like purpose. This fulfillment, however, doesn't arrive with noise. It comes like sunrise, gradually, steadily, without chaos. It glows more than it explodes. You won't always realize it immediately. You'll just notice that peace has replaced striving, that what you once chased now comes to meet you. That is how you know heaven has shifted you from promise to possession. Chosen one. The revelation fulfilled also carries humility with it. You will remember the wilderness and understand why it was necessary. Without delay, you wouldn't have developed discernment. Without silence, you wouldn't have learned stillness. Every moment of waiting was sacred architecture, building the foundation that can now hold what God has released. Do not rush this fulfillment. Let it unfold at heaven's pace. Some promises arrive fully formed, others bloom slowly, petal by petal, revealing more of God's character with every stage. The process is as holy as the promise itself. You will also begin to see why certain prayers were answered differently than you expected. Heaven's fulfillment rarely mirrors human imagination. God's answers are deeper, wiser, and far more intricate. You thought he was ignoring you, but he was improving what you asked for. Now, when you look back, you'll see divine fingerprints everywhere, moments where you thought you failed. Yet grace redirected your steps, days you thought were empty. Yet heaven was writing foundation stones beneath your feet. The revelation fulfilled makes everything make sense. This is not just personal fulfillment, it's prophetic evidence. Your life becomes a living testimony that God does not lie. People who doubted your resilience will see your peace and know that it came from somewhere sacred. Your endurance will become a doorway through which others glimpse faith in action. The revelation fulfilled also calls for stewardship. Blessings must be carried carefully. What has been entrusted to you was never meant for comfort alone, it was meant for influence. The fulfilled promise is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of assignment. God fulfills to empower. What you've received now becomes what you release. In this season, gratitude must become your grounding. The danger of fulfillment is forgetting where you came from. But those who remain humble after fulfillment continue to rise. Remember the silence that built your hearing, the pruning that shaped your fruit, the fire that purified your faith. Let thankfulness guard your heart against pride. Chosen one, this fulfillment is not random. Heaven never forgets a word it speaks. The same God who began the promise within you is now bringing it to completion. You are walking proof that time cannot cancel truth. Every prophecy has an appointed hour, and you are living in yours. The revelation fulfilled brings a peace that surpasses excitement. It's not about victory over others, it's about union with divine purpose. You no longer ask. When you begin to whisper, now, the season has arrived where what you saw in prayer becomes what you see in life. Walk gently here. Every fulfilled word carries a fragrance of glory. Let your steps reflect reverence, not pride. This is sacred ground, the intersection of faith and manifestation. You are no longer standing in promise, you are standing in performance. What heaven once declared has now taken form around you. And as you breathe in this reality, remember what is fulfilled in you will soon flow through you. The revelation has come to pass. Chosen one. When revelation is fulfilled, the soul enters a silence unlike any before. It is not the silence of waiting, but of wonder. Heaven is no longer preparing you, it is celebrating you. This is the crowning moment, the instant when everything you have endured, believed, and carried finally settles into divine purpose. It is not the end of your journey, it is the visible recognition of all that heaven has already declared within you. The crowning moment does not come with trumpets or applause. It comes with peace. It is that deep, wordless knowing that says, I made it through what was meant to break me. It is the quiet dignity of someone who no longer needs validation because their spirit has been vindicated. The crown does not rest on your head by human hands, it descends from heaven itself. Unseen, yet unmistakable. The Word of God declares in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. That day has come to your spirit. You are living in the after of your testing, in the therefore of your obedience. The crown is not a trophy, it is a transfer of authority. It signifies that what was once promised has now been entrusted. The same head that once bowed in surrender is now anointed to carry glory. The crowning moment is heaven's way of saying, "You have proven trustworthy. You passed the silent tests, the unseen trials, the battles no one knew you were fighting. You chose truth over convenience, obedience over comfort, love over revenge. Every small yes, every whispered prayer, every tear that fell in faith, they built the foundation for this coronation. You may not feel different at first. The external world may look the same, but something inside has shifted irrevocably. You carry weight now, the kind that cannot be measured in titles or recognition. It is the gravity of grace. Wherever you go, peace will follow. Wherever you stand, light will linger. You have become a living atmosphere of divine presence. The crown is not an accessory, its identity solidified. It is heaven's seal that you belong fully to purpose, that your pain was never wasted, that your perseverance has not gone unnoticed. And yet, this crown is not about elevation above others, it's about service beneath them. To wear it well, you must remember the wilderness that shaped it. The humility that kept you dependent on grace is what keeps the crown steady upon your head. Chosen one. This moment carries both reward and responsibility. Heaven does not crown the entitled, it crowns the faithful. You are now a carrier of legacy, a living example of endurance. Others will look to your calm and find courage. They will see your scars and find healing. That is what true authority looks like. It serves. It restores. It shines quietly without needing to be seen. This is also a time for reflection. Look back and notice the divine symmetry of your story. Every failure that turned into wisdom, every loss that led to revelation, every delay that protected you, all of it fits perfectly now. The crown is not just for surviving, it's for understanding. The more you comprehend your journey, the more radiant your crown becomes. There will be moments when life tries to test your crown, moments of doubt, distraction, or weariness. But you will remember what it cost to get here. You will remember the fire, the silence, the waiting, the refining, and you will hold your head steady. For you know now that what was given by God cannot be taken by man. The crowning moment is not about arrival, it's about readiness. You are now equipped for greater assignments, for influence that heals, for leadership that lifts others higher. The same hands that once trembled in uncertainty will now steady others through their storms. You will guide not from knowledge alone, but from knowing. Chosen one, wear this moment with reverence. Do not rush past it. The world may not see the crown, but heaven does. Angels bow in recognition, and even creation itself sighs in relief, because when one chosen one stands fully in purpose, the earth feels it. This is your crowning moment, not because the battle is over, but because you now understand who fought beside you all along. The crown upon your spirit is not fragile gold, it is forged light, eternal and untouchable. Stand tall, chosen one. The journey has come full circle. The promise has become presence. The word has become reality. And your obedience has become glory. Every breath you take now carries memory and mission intertwined. You are proof that surrender builds strength, that faith shapes crowns, and that endurance always ends in divine beauty. Chosen one, the story has reached its still point, the echo after revelation, the silence after victory. Heaven is no longer whispering warnings, it is releasing blessings. You have journeyed through fire and light, through pruning and promise, and now you stand in clarity. The road that once broke you has become your crown. You are the fulfillment of everything you once prayed for in the dark. But the story does not end here. The journey of the chosen never ends, it only deepens. The same light that guided you now flows through you. You have become the messenger, the living continuation of what began as prophecy. Every word you've heard has shaped you into an instrument of restoration. Wherever you go, peace will travel with you. Wherever you stand, faith will find footing again. Now pause, breathe. Feel the stillness of heaven resting over your life. The battles that once defined you are now behind you, and the peace that was promised is finally within reach. Yet even peace has purpose. It must be shared, multiplied, extended beyond your borders. So let this final moment be more than conclusion. Let it be continuation. When you like this message, see it not as a reaction but as recognition, as lighting a lantern in gratitude for the journey that shaped you. When you share it, imagine your hand passing that light into another's night, guiding someone still finding their way through the same fire you once survived. When you comment, let your words fall like embers of testimony, your personal spark joining countless others into one constellation of faith. And when you subscribe, think of it as staying close to the fire, choosing to keep walking with heaven as new revelations unfold. This is your final breath within this chapter, but not your last heartbeat within the divine rhythm. The story continues through your life, through every act of kindness, every word of light, every quiet victory. The heavens have declared you are ready, you are refined, you are chosen, and you will never walk unseen again.